Hello all my JavaScript friends, this is TheVirtuoid, aka Mike Smith, and this is our racing game. Today we're going to be taking a look at the first design run through that I have for the racing game. Now this is a PowerPoint presentation that I discovered worked very well for me in the jigsaw puzzle game, that after I did the initial design on the PowerPoint presentation, as I went through the code and found out some of my design was incorrect, I went into the PowerPoint presentation and made changes to it. And so it ended up being a comprehensive design document, and it worked out really, really nice. So I'm doing the same thing here with the racing game. I have written no code yet, except for just a simple hello world HTML file, JavaScript file, and CSS file. That's all I've done so far. Therefore, this PowerPoint presentation is really the first look we're going to have at what I envision the racing game is going to look like. And we're going to be using BDD and TDD testing to flesh everything out. BDD being behavior-driven development and TDD being test-driven development. And we'll be using Cucumber for the BDD and Cucumber Cypress for our TDD type testing. But let's get into it. So this is going to be our racing game. What are the goals? Well, the goals are I want to be able to select 1 to 4 cars to race. And each car will have its own model and have its own characteristics. I don't know what those characteristics are yet. I'll kind of flesh those out once we get the models built out. You know, for instance, some of them may not roll quite as well. You may be able to have different tires, things like that, that gives you better traction or whatever. Cars will always be placed at the starting line, and then the cars will start with the gates being dropped. They would do the gravity thing on the track, and they run through the track, and suddenly they will end up at the particular finish line, and there will be a bumper at the end of the track to stop the cars themselves. Now, the racing game, the track, of course, is going to be a gravity-controlled track. It's going to have a standard 3-car width. That should give plenty of room for people to be able to pass on. There's going to be a straight piece, and it will have both a stock length and plus a user-defined length. There will be a 45-degree curve piece. Now, to be honest with you, I wrote this out thinking these are my goals, but as I was writing out how the track definitions were done, as you'll see here shortly, I've actually kind of abandoned this particular thing. Bank curve will have it banked at 180 degrees. It's not going to be banked at 90 degrees. The radius of the curve comes in standard user-defined lengths. It's all going to be user-defined. Full curve begins and ends with a flat surface, even if banked. That part is still true, but now it's basically you're going to have a flat-to-flat curves at 45, 90, 130, and so on and so forth. And we'll see all that here shortly. And track connections are made by connecting start and end pieces. So what's the architecture of the game? So first there's the game object. That controls everything within the game. It communicates with the car, the track, the databases, maybe, we're not sure about that one yet, layout, and the UI. Now, between the layout, the UI, the car, and the track, and the databases, they don't communicate with any of the other objects, except for maybe the databases, and we're not quite sure about what to do with that yet. That's everything. Everything is going to be responsible. Everything is going to be the responsibility of the game object. Then the car object is very simple. It's the car. I mean, it's just the model, the wheels, all that kind of fun stuff. The track object is where we're going to store the different track pieces, the straights, the curves, the bumpers, the starting lines, things like that. The layout is going to be, as it says, it's going to be the layout of the track. It's going to contain multiple track pieces. That's going to be our layout. It's going to start point, end point, and so on and so forth. The UI is going to be the browser and whatever UI we happen to use. And the databases are going to contain all the information about the models, the cars, history, things like that. The only thing I haven't figured out yet, and this will kind of figure out as we go along, is whether the cars and the tracks and the layout are going to have static methods to get to the databases, or whether the game itself will be able to communicate with the databases. Not sure yet. We'll have to kind of work with that one as we go along. Okay, racing game on the architecture. The car object represents a single instance of the car. This may have some properties like ID, name description, model ID, where we also get the model. And it may have database methods in which we get all the different models. And this is in case that we have static methods within the car that will communicate with the database. And the game will basically go to the car and say, hey, car, give me a list of all the models. Or, hey, car, give me a list of your wheels, and blah, 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 and so forth, and so on and so forth, like that one. These properties and methods we have here are very undefined, because as we get into the game a little bit more and I notice I may need certain things, then this will change as we go along. Same thing with the track. The game will communicate straight with the track. Track will communicate with the DB. And each of the different tracks will have what type of track it is, a straight or a curve. And that's actually really only the two different types. It's a straight and a curve. And you have multiple curve types too. And that will, we'll get into that a little bit later on. And of course, it will have database models for getting the models, the types. But the big thing about the track is also we should be able to define within the pieces of track, new pieces of track, like if we had a cross section track, or if we had a track that may only be, let's say, 2 cars wide instead of 1 car, or instead of 3 cars. Kind of funnel the cars up a little bit and scrunch them together. So by keeping that track separate from everything else, we can define any type of track that we wish. The layout is very simple. It just basically says, hey, here is my configuration. That's what the configuration property is. This is my configuration of a layout. It starts with this particular piece of track. It goes all the way down to this particular track. This is the name of it, and where so on and so forth. So no biggie there. And of course, with the game, between the game and the UI, that's where a lot of the heavy lift is going to go. The game's got to tell the UI, hey, draw out this car, draw out this track, draw out this layout. I want you to start the game. I want you to pause the game. I want you to end the cars. I want you to give me a dialog box that allows me to select the cars, or give me the dialog box that allows me to select the layout. These are the kind of things that the game and the UI will communicate with. Now, notice the UI doesn't really care about what cars are available or anything like that. It's going to depend upon the game to tell that. So the game's going to go to the other databases, the car, the layout, the track, and say, hey, give me, for instance, all the different layouts that you have. And then it's going to go to you and say, here's all the different layouts. Display a dialog box that allows the people to be able to select a particular layout. And the UI will say, okay, yeah, this particular one's been selected. And the game goes back and says, okay, UI, I want you to draw this layout on the screen. Here are the 4 cars that's been selected. Start the game. And it will drop the gate and all that kind of fun stuff. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel to view more videos. Click on the like button on this video and visit us at TheVirtuoid.com. Also, support us on Patreon, where you can get access to member-only videos. Links are down below. Again, thank you very much for watching, and keep on coding.